This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, good morning everyone. Shalom Aleichem, Bruchim Habayim. We're continuing in Mishna Berura, Daf Hashavua. Today we begin Siman Samach 68. Shaloi lahafsik b'piyutin. Don't interrupt in the piyutin. Says Mishna Berura, Shaloi lahafsik b'piyutin. Says the Mechaber, Yesh mekoyim shemafsikim beverchas kriyas shema lemer piyutim. In some places they interrupt in berchas kriyas shema to say piyutin. V'nachayin lemnaya mila amram mishum dehav hefsik. It is correct to stop them from saying it because it's a hefsik. If you look in the Art Scroll Siddur, especially the Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur Machzor, we have what in yeshiva is known as the big words and the small words. And the rule in yeshiva is we only say the big words. But whenever I'm hiring a chazan or, giving a chazan instructions what to do Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, I always say, we just say the big words, no small words. Somehow that developed in general throughout the whole Machzor. It doesn't matter where. You just say the big words, in Chazar Sashatz. But the Mechaber holds that that's correct. You should not say piyutim. You're not allowed to say piyutim. It's a hefsek. Now, it doesn't sound like you're not yotzei or you'd have to say the bracha again, but l'chadchila, it's not correct. So, the Ramah says, some say it's not asar. Now, that's not a great selling point if you want to get people to say piyutim. Say, the Mechaber says you shouldn't say it, but the Ramah says not asar. Oh, yeah, really? Okay, I don't think too many people are going to go for that. But, the minhag in all places is to say them. But if you're lenient and you don't say them, don't worry, you don't lose out. They say, great, I won't say them, and I'm going to learn while everyone else is saying them. Now, this is, in general, a common custom that people, I'm not saying people on our shiur, but people out there, nobody we know, do. People like to learn by davening. No. You don't learn by davening. You learn during learning. The same way you don't eat when you're taking a shower, right? Or you don't take a shower while you eat. You don't brush your teeth while you're at a meeting, yeah? You don't, let's say, floss while you're in the bank. Imagine if you're in the bank and you're brushing your teeth. Well, you're out of your mind. What are you doing? Why are you learning during davening? What are you doing with the Gemara during davening? When exactly are you learning? At which point? You just covered a blot and a half during the davening. Which point in the davening did you learn that? You were Maver Sedra during the davening. It's very nice, but after davening you're going to have to be Maver Sedra again, because you're not allowed to be learning then. So it's a mitzvah haba ba'avera. But now we're not even talking about that. We're talking about piyutim that you shouldn't even be saying. Listen to this. You should not be saying the piyutim. The Mechaber says, don't say it. The Ramah says it's ein iser. V'hameka lo hifsid. Says the Ramah, mikol makom lo yaslik b'shum davar afilu b'divrei Torah asr lahafsik v'laslik kozman shatzibur omer piyutim. You are not allowed to engage in anything, even in divrei Torah. It is also to interrupt and engage when the tzibur is saying piyutim. In other words, you're at a tzibur, they're saying kroivitz for Parsha Shkolim. I don't say kroivitz for Parsha Shkolim. My grandfather didn't say it. My grandfather would have been moiser nefesh not to say. Doesn't matter. You're not able to learn then. You can't learn then. So what am I supposed to do? You need to learn the art of sitting quietly. It's a good thing to know how to do. You cannot learn while the tzibur is saying piyutim. Certainly you can't involve yourself in conversation. But what if I'm not saying the words? I'm not saying Tashma Amar Abaye. No. I'm learning through thinking. Sharoi b'sefer. I'm looking in a book. I'm looking in a sefer. Mahara. I'm thinking. Lesba Yisur. There's no Isser. Dehir lav kedibur dami. Ella shemitoch kach yavoyu ledaber v'yavoyu dehefsik. But by you learning, people are going to come to speak and they're going to interrupt. V'al kain ein la'adam lifresh atzmei me'at tzibur. Therefore, you cannot separate yourself from the tzibur. B'makim shenagu la'amram, in a shul, that the place that they are noig to say it. V'yoymer oisam imam, you need to say the piyutim with them. V'ayin lekaman siman tzadi sif yod. So this in general is always two issues with learning by davening. Number one, is it a hefsek? And number two, even if it's not a hefsek, but if you're learning, other people will speak. That's the psychology. And that's how the Mishna Berura paskins, by Chazar Sashatz, that even if you're going to answer Amen and Baruch Baruch Shemai, other people are going to learn from your behavior, that if you're learning, then I could speak. So you're not allowed to.
Doesn't he mean that you're going to speak? He says,
oh. Maybe. No, the Mishna Berura says the way I said it. The Mishna Berura says the way I said it. I was getting it from the Mishna Berura and elsewhere, but yeah, Lashon Rabbim could be on all those, it could be, but I retract, I'm right. That's what the Rama means. Fine. Says the Mishna Berura, the Ein Isser. The Rama says, some say it's not Asr. Shazeh Sha'amru. Why is it not Asr? After all, how could you change the matbea of the bracha? Says the Mishna Berura, Shazeh Sha'amru, Malkum Sha'amru Laharach, Ein Rasha Lekatzar. This that they said in brachas, and a long bracha, you can't abridge. What that means is a bracha that begins with a bracha and ends with a bracha. You can't shorten. Short ones you can't lengthen by adding the baruchs, because by doing so you're changing the format of that the Chachamim were Tovei and Brachas. Aval shar nusach habracha, but any other language of a bracha, any other text of bracha, the rabbis did not give a measurement. That you should say dafka these number of words. So I would ask on that. We know that the Rishonim do give almost by every single tefillah how many words something should be. Baruch Shamar is 87 words. The Halalukas, the Reikach says how many words it is. Even Bimei Mordechai Esther, Megala Mukais, the Gra says it's 54 words. Because look, the Mishna Berura says, what? I'm sorry, what?
Says lo amru elef brachos aruchos shepos bebaruch bepos bebaruch.
Yeah, but still, I think the Rishonim do give the number of words that each. I'm saying, even any segment of the tefillah, the Rishonim speak about how many words it has. The significance of how many words in every segment of tefillah, even brachos. Here, look, the Mishna Berura says the imkein haya lohem lasakein nusach ka bracha b'milos menuyos. Because if there was a precise number of words, they should have enacted each bracha with a counted number of words. Ulahashmiyenu ka bracha bracha b'nuschasa, and let us know the exact nusach of each bracha. V'zel lo yimatzin. We don't find that. So it sounds like whatever the Rishonim, whatever number of words the Rishonim gave were perhaps suggestions, but they're not legislation. Kasav Harambam Perakav Mikrishma Kol Ishal Davar Kol Hamashanami Ma'ber Shetav Chacham Berachas Harei Zataya. Anyone who changes the format of a bracha is making an error. V'choizim Avarach Kamatbeya, and you have to go back and make the bracha like the correct format. But Kasav HaKesef Mishnah Perak Aleph Bebracha is Dafka in Pasach Ba'bracha B'Makom Shaloi Tifnu Tiknu L'Vtayach. That's if somebody began a bracha in the place where they were not niskan to open up, or aychasam, or they concluded b'makam sha'amru loy lachtam, in a place where they were not supposed to. Oy shechiser mi brachos haruchos haschalas habracha, or if they were missing in the long brachos, the beginning of the bracha, shemaschelas b'shem malchus, that they took out the bracha in the beginning of a long bracha that should begin with Shem HaMachos, or they didn't end off. But someone who made amendation in the text of the bracha, and didn't say the exact text, ela she'amar b'nusach acher, but they said in a little bit of a different text, be'inyan habracha, afilu chisar kama tevas yotz b'diavad, they're still yotzei. Why? Hoil v'hoyaba azkara u'malchus be'inyan habracha. Since they had the three key components, the name of Hashem, malchus, and the subject matter of the bracha. He brings that the Even Yisrael says, therefore, if you didn't say an Ata Chaynein, Chanenu Meyitcha, Dea Bina V'Haskel, you're not Yotzei because you're missing the main bracha. However, the Bir Halacha earlier in Siman Nun Tesef Beis writes that the opinion of the Gra is like the Raj and the Ramban, that everything is dependent on the Chasima. And even a long bracha that begins with Baruch and ends with Baruch, even if you're missing something which is Me'ikar HaBracha, if you end off properly, you're Yotzei. And therefore, according to the Gra, if you're missing Davar Shumei Ikar HaBracha, let's say you in Kabbalah Shofar, you take out Kibbutz Galiyos. If you end off correctly, according to the Gra, you would be Yotzei. Okay, the Mishna Berura continues. Okay, Levad HaTeva Shapartu Chacham Hashem Ma'akves, except for the words that the Chachamim enumerated that they're Ma'akev, Kegoyin Shalai Hizgar Bris. Let's say you didn't mention Bris, the Torah, and you didn't mention Torah in Berachas Hamazon, or Mashav Haruach, V'chal Kiyotz V'zeh. V'huva calls up B'magen Avram, Siman Samach Daled, V'siman Kopei Zayin. U'v'bir Hagra Kasav. In the Gra he writes, the Harambam, Perak Aleph, Mibrachos, Chazar by Mizeh. The Rambam, Perak Aleph of Brachos, retracted. The Soiver, he holds, the Afilu Bivracha Arucha, even in a long bracha. Im loy gamar Seif HaBracha Kedina, if you did not finish the end of the bracha properly, Mikamakam Yatsa B'diavad, nevertheless B'diavad you're Yotzei, V'chadeir Harishayna, like the first daya, Hamuva B'simen Kuf Pei Zayin, Sif Aleph Ayin Sham. So the Be'er Agra writes that according to the Rambam retracted that even in a bracha arucha, if you didn't finish properly your yotzei. But it seems like that's not so pashut. Again, the Mishna Berura seems to conclude that even if you were not chosim the bracha, your yotzei, your chiyuv, later on in Siman Kuf Pei Zayin, he brings that the Bach wrote that the ikar is like the second daya, that im loy chasam lo yatsa, and the Aliyah Rabbah also holds that way. But here he's bringing the Gra. Apparently there are two dayos in Siman Kuf Pei Zayin, whether you have to be chosim kedina. Now what should you do? Kol zman the tzibur is saying piyutim. Hu adin afilu im kfar gamar hu. The same thing would be, you finished early. Vatzibur hapiyutim. And the tzibur finished the piyutim. Abracha v'hu oimed ben perek leperek gam kein aser lahafsek. Let's say like this: you finished the piyutim, the tzibur finished the piyutim, and your oimed ben perek leperek, it's aser to be mafsek. So question, let's say they're singing Kel Adain. Are you have a sefer out during Kel Adain while the Chazan is singing Kel Adain akala mahasim baruch? Are you allowed to learn during Kel Adain? Or during Mim Kaimcha, the Chazan is singing Kaubach. You got to give him at least 7 minutes to get through that piece. So you have to sit there Mim Kaimcha. Now, are you allowed to learn then? According to what the Ramah is saying, people see you learn, they're going to come to talk. I personally only have a sefer out during Mim Kaimcha and Kel Adain. But maybe I shouldn't. It sounds like from the Ramah you shouldn't. I remember one time many years ago I went to with my grandfather to Davening. So, of course, we were very early, and I went and I took out a siddur, and I took out a Chumash, and I took out a Gemara. My grandma, what's that for? So, what do you mean? You need a sefer For what? He said, you know. He said, no, what? And he didn't let me, no. He said, it's wrong. It's wrong, it's aser. I think the only time you're allowed to learn really is ben gavra legavra. Ben gavra legavra you could learn. During the davening.
Before Chazar Shashatz.
What?
What about before Chazar Shashatz, after Torah answering?
I don't think you could answer it then. Because the whole svara is, what's the svara? You're not being parish manat tzibur. I finished Shemona Esrei. Elamai people are going to learn that this person's learning, I could talk. Is it mamish aser to talk then? You're not allowed to talk between Shemona Esrei and Tachnon. Are you allowed to talk after you're silent Shemona Esrei before Chazar Sashatz? L'chayra, you're not allowed to, because then you're being mafsik between Shemona Esrei and Tachnon. According to the Mishna Berura, you're not allowed to talk ben gavra legavra. But
because you're not allowed to even turn backwards while you're looking back to the school.
You're not allowed to turn around. Ben gavra legavra, you're right. You're not allowed to talk ben gavra legavra. The Aruch HaShulchan though has a lenient. So I'm saying if it's only a gzeira that other people could talk, if you could find a daya that it's not after l'hafsik, we're not going to ask her learning. I don't know. But during Kel Adon, are you allowed to? Doesn't sound like it. I have to say. Okay, weiter. When the people see you're looking in a sefer, yavoyu gam ken ladaber, they're going to come to speak. Aval hirer ba'alma b'divrei Torah efshar diyesh lahakal. It could be you're allowed to think. It could be not pashat. It could be you're allowed to think and learning when the tzibur is saying piyutim. Now, amnam b'shah she'achazan oimer kaddish. During kaddish, asur laharher. You're not allowed to think and learning. Okay, so if somebody has a sefer open, it's asur. Cannot have a sefer open during kaddish. You're allowed to think and learning during kaddish. It's asur. Why? Shetzarich harbe lechavein b'aniyas kaddish. You have to have a lot of kavanah during kaddish. Now, look in the dirshu. What about kedusha? Kedusha, it's asur laharer b'divrei Torah misha shehahischel hashatz loimer nekadesh. But v'davka b'shah shehashatz loimer hatevois v'loi b'shah shemarach b'nigen. Not when he's being marach in the nigen. So the question is, what if he's doing? So what? When he does mekaimcha, then you're now to learn. But then when he does na, then you could learn. So there we got you a second of learning. That would be permitted to learn during the second, meaning when he says the word mekaimcha, you can't learn. But when he goes na, you could learn. Malkeinu sahai. Anyway, so any time he goes a nana, you're allowed to learn during the nanas. However, here's the big kula of the day. That the Mishna Berura says whatever we add on Shabbos is not me'ikar hakadusha. So the whole Shema Yisrael, the whole Mim Kaimcha is not me'ikar hakadusha. You can learn then. No, you're allowed to be maharher, but you can't have a sefer open. No, you can't have a sefer open. So if you want to know, could you have a sefer open during Kedusha or during Kel Adon? No, you can't have a sefer open anytime you're not allowed to talk. Are you allowed to think in learning? Not during Kedusha, not during Kel Adon, but you could think in learning during the extra piyutim of Mimakaimcha. Right? You hear what we're saying? Anytime you're not allowed to talk, you can't have a sefer open. Are you allowed to think in learning? You're allowed to think in learning, not during Kaddish, but during Kedusha, the extra lines that we don't say during the week, and even Yimlach, even Yimlach is not Me'ikr HaKedusha. everybody's Maida or forever hold your part. Yeah? You can say, oh, I found this Paisik holds you allowed to. No Paisik holds you allowed to. Maybe they don't know, or maybe I know this person, he's learning, that learning. All right, otherwise, besides that, he's a good Jew. But, yeah, what in Eretz Yisrael, they abide by this?
Absolutely. That's how we do everything according to Mishna Berura.
Okay, good. Have a great day, everyone. Hatzlacha.
Recording.
1 second, I have a shot. Yeah.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.